Hey guys, thank you guys for tuning in to Camou and Associates Studios. Today we have a very, very special guest, Adavid Broden. Give him a round of applause.
What's up, man?
What's up,
Glad
man?
to be here. Appreciate the invite, bro.
Dude,
Flattered.
Adavid is one of those guys that he's not a Trump or a Kamala, whatever, but he just comes in a suit wherever he goes. And I'm like who'd you call me?
Joe Rogan, baby.
Joe Rogan, except for I'm not buff. Working on it. No, we want to say thanks for coming out, man. Support the platform. The purpose of today is just kind of let people see who you are, the services, the professionalism that you bring to the table. Give a little bit of backstory on you, myself, and then put it out there for our friends, our family, our clients. So, you know, I think we met 2014 or 2015.
I got my license in 16, so yeah.
Okay, so it's 2015.
It was yeah, because I was coming in to taking the classes.
Yeah, because I think we're both kind of showing up a little before we got our license, just to get acclimated with an office and things of that nature. So you actually started to be licensed in 2016.
Yes, sir.
I think I got my license a month or two before the end of the year. So I remember we had me, you, there was Richard, Claudia, and two other people that were like, oh, this is our group. Joyce.
There was a blonde girl. I forget her name though.
A blondie? Oh, Melissa Gordon?
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there was another one too. What was her name? Priscilla. She was hung out with Melissa.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember our little group would be in all the trainings, and we're I felt like we were in high school again, with our pen and pad out.
This is what it felt like for sure.
Yeah, but Adavid came to every training in a suit, just the way you see him right now. And he actually looks the same. He hasn't aged in 8 years.
The camera can't pick up the gray hairs from real estate.
So, but for me, I have my reason on why I joined real estate, and you guys all know that. But, what about you? What took you to real estate? Because when you got your license, how old were you?
So I was 32.
Okay.
I think it was 33, something like that. I forgot.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area. But I got started, it's interesting because it was never something that I thought I was going to do. I literally was, I was working as I had transitioned from the construction industry 10 years from working in the Southeast. My wife brought us out here to California, and I just didn't fall back into the industry. So I was just picking up a job at the local avocado packing house, believe it or not.
Really?
I was just a shipping clerk. Just kind of just an easy job, kind of do nothing. And on my way there, I had to pass the Century 21 office every morning. And on the side of the building, it was get your real estate license. And I was like, that's cool. And then one day I was like, I think you can do good in real estate. You can buy houses and you can invest. And so I was like, I should go inside and just see what this is about. So I went inside. I don't know who was there at the front,
The Murrieta office?
The Murrieta office right there on Los Alamos and Madison. So I went inside and it's I'm interested in this real estate thing. I would like to invest. And they're like, well, if you want to invest, you should just get your license. And so go talk to this guy. And he offers these classes. This is Harry. And I don't know. I talked to Harry recently. I can't tell you how old he is, but Harry's been around for a long time. And he's teaching this class. And so at the time, he was probably in his 80s. And so I signed up for the class.
Yeah.
And it took about a year to get licensed because I took the class and then I left and went out to New York, did some work, and then came back. And then I got my license 2016 and just jumped in both feet day one. That's all I've done since then. And that's how the ball started rolling for real estate for me. A sign on the side of that building.
That's crazy. Were you working your other job and doing real estate, or did you just quit everything and just go full time?
I quit everything. I remember because I had quit the job at the avocado spot, and I went to New York and worked out there, and that was seasonal. And so when that job finished, I came back out here, and I had time to kind of think about what I wanted to do. Did I want to go back there, real estate? And I was like, I'm gonna do real estate full time. So I passed my test. And then immediately after passing my test, me and my wife, we took a vacation. It was we were celebrating our 30-year anniversary. I was like, okay, we're going to take a vacation.
Your 30-year?
Third. Come on now.
You can pull the mic back just a tiny bit. I was 30 years. Wow.
Yeah, no. And then when we came back from that vacation, full time. Day one.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So I didn't know that. But yeah, I remember 2000. 16, we were both hitting the streets, knocking doors, going to every training, going to everything. And I was like, okay, Adavid's a real one. He's out here. He's out here doing his thing. And then now fast forward to now, broker.
A lot's changed since then. The industry's changed. Of course, we've grown.
Yeah.
It's interesting because where we came from, even though it's Century 21, it's still boutique broker. It wasn't like one of these big like time brokerages that we see now today, where you got all these agents doing all this crazy volume and all these like big huge teams or anything like that. It was a much different world to where it is now, where I'm surrounded by big teams, big time names that are out there that are doing just tons and tons of volume, and just kind of learning that space. That's where I am right now. Getting my broker's license was just a step in the direction of, in the future, if we wanted to kind of go off on our own, we had that opportunity. That's where we are now. And still with the mindset, it's interesting because there was so much to learn then, and I feel like there's still so much to learn today. Right. Yep. The industry is constantly evolving and changing. Technology is evolving and changing. And if you don't like grow with that, then you kind of get left behind. So I tell myself this is just continue to learn, continue to be willing to grow and to stretch and be uncomfortable. And as long as I'm willing to be uncomfortable and to grow, then, that's what's going to allow the business to expand.
And the desire to want to continue, because a lot of us, real estate is, if you're on top of it, it's a lot to stay on top of. But if you just get comfortable with like, I know the RPA, I'm good. There's a new one, a new document, show it to me. Oh, my TC can handle that. I'm going to go golfing or whatever it might be and just be mediocre. Nothing wrong with golfing. I'm just saying there's always a lot to learn and a lot to give to the business to stay on top of it. So the desire to continue to want to grow, continue to want to be better, continue for you, yourself, your family, your clients, that separates majority from, the people that are really striving for more. And I feel like you've always, we've had our little meetings. We would have our meetings, and it's like people would see us having our meetings like, hey, what are you guys meeting about? And we're like, really, it's nothing too crazy. You can do that with the guy next to you over there. It's just we're doing one, and you're not. So you just feel like we're doing something. But, they really sharpened, me. I think together we both were sharpening each other. And it took us to a place where we're, what's the right word? Like friendly, competitive, where it's like, okay, Adavid's doing that. That means in order to be, one of the guys, I got to do that too. Oh, Anthony's doing this, I got to do it. It obviously healthy things. We're not going to jump off a cliff and I got to do it too.
Right.
But, we're both like navigating, like we want to strive for the same things. So like, that's how we started. It's like always want to be better, learn the contracts up and down, inside and out. And, all the new contracts, sure, get those all familiarized as well. But at some point we had to transition out of contracts and actually start meeting people, getting in front of clients, and actually serving a human, a client, a person that's going to pay us. So, I think that's where both of us, we went our different ways in a good way. You had your strengths, I had my strengths, I had my weaknesses, you had yours. And, we started to shift and transition in the business. And, for me, my perspective of what you were doing, you were always more on the admin side with like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to review contracts and this and that with my wife. And then I'm going to do this at the church. And then I'm off on these nights and I only work on these days. And I'm like, man, I just work 24/7 and I just hope I can squeeze a deal out of it. And then, when I get a transaction, I do my thing. So I feel like you were a different approach to the real estate business than I was. I was kind of more of like a boot on the ground. Not saying you weren't, because you did your thing too, but you were a boot on the ground and, admin, church. You had a different balance for sure.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely challenging to kind of fit it all together and figure it out, because that was the one thing that, and I think you and I probably experienced this the same, is when you come into real estate, understanding that you've just started a company. And in a company, there's a lot of different aspects to running that company. There's finance, there's marketing, there's admin, there's all of these pieces that go in there. And where is the template to follow to actually bring
There
it all
is
to
none.
fruition.
There is
and
none.
that's the thing. Like there is none. So, we were in the process of trying to create that. And,
Yeah.
I'm a very, I like to be structured.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if I don't have a plan to follow, I get lost. Mm-hmm. So like, where is this ship sailing?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got orders, you got sales, like just go figure it out. And I was like, nah, this isn't working. So I had to step back. I remember mentioning to what you talked about, like contracts, just kind of going back to that point. I remember, and then talking about contracts and then meeting people face to face. Because there's a big difference between like reviewing that contract and then actually explaining it to someone. And I remember with my my mentor at the time, I had my first buyer. We're signing the RPA. So they're going to meet me at the office and we're going to go over everything. Mm-hmm. And I had read that thing, I don't know how many times, and I thought I was like good, but I was so nervous. So I go into there in the conference room and he comes in with me and I take out the RPA. And, at that point, I don't know, it's like 13, 14 pages. And I almost started like going over like word for word. And he was like, graciously, he just stepped in and he was like, boom, and he explained it and he walked. And it was really good to see, because I'm also a visual learner, to see him walk through the document with the client. I was like, so that's what it looks like to explain this to someone else in words that they can understand. Something that I actually heard today from one of my coaches is if you say too much, like people don't really trust you, so to speak. You need to be able to explain what it is that you're trying to explain in as few as words as possible, because people are like, oh, you got it. Like there's no questions asked. So I was like, okay, at that point, I didn't know. And so I saw that in him. And then from there, was able to grow and see this is how you do something. And so in real estate, when someone jumps into this wonderful industry that we're a part of, you need to have that template. You need to have that structure, something to follow. And for me, one of my Achilles, as you talked about weaknesses, you talked about strengths. One of my weaknesses was I was really unwilling to follow anyone else. It was like, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to be like a part of a team and like somebody else is in charge, because I'm a strong competitor. One of my real strengths in my profile, my coach gives me, is an Olympian. And so like my thing is to like win and beat everybody. But I don't really want any help to do that. I feel like it's a crutch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did it by myself.
Right. So that was one of my weaknesses, is I would go home, or I'd sit in that office and I'm just like, I'm just going to read this. I'm going to get it. I'm going to figure it out. And that was probably like one of the strengths of you. I think you did really well, networking and connecting with other people and just saying, okay, how can I learn and grow from them? And, fortunately I had you, as an opportunity as well. When we would be in the office and we worked together, I was like, man, Anthony like knows his stuff. He's like connecting with all the right people. And like, this is what I maybe could do, but I don't know. My pride won't allow me to. So I'm just going to like glean what I can from him.
That's so crazy, because like me, I never wanted to do it by myself. Like I told you, I was talking to that one agent and I was like, tell me what you're doing. Just give it to me. What are you doing? And like, I've never wanted to tackle this by myself. So I would get a lot of tidbits from this person, that person. And I would really call agents and say, hey dude, like there was another agent and he's, I forgot what office he's out of. I think Signature. And he does high level stuff there. And I called him one day. I was like, hey, you don't know me, but I see what you're doing. Can I just go visit your office for like 4 or 5 hours? Nobody's ever asked me that, but yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm like, great. I was there, dude, and I seen some cool stuff. Like 80% of the day is the same as ours.
Right.
Just running around, printing a copy here, this and that. But the little 10, 15% of the time, there was some stuff that was going on that I was like, look, that's the stuff right there. So for me, it was like, I guess that was my thing, is like, I did not want to learn by myself. I wanted to get coaching from the people that were already doing it and 20, 30 steps ahead of me. So, but yeah, we did communicate a lot and we did share a lot of what we're doing with the other people and stuff like that. So I think that was, what helped me get through a little bit of the struggles that I had.
Mm-hmm. That's a strength, man. And that's to be commended, when you can say like, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Let me go find someone who does, and let's plug into them. Mm-hmm. And iron sharpens iron, and we get better at it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think I started seeing that, because, okay, a lot of agents, no disrespect to the boots on the ground, because the agents, we're the boots and we're the ones that get transactions completed. But there are some people out there that they wear multiple hats and they do different things in the business. And when I seen a couple agents that also did property management, I was like, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. Well, you're only making $300 a month off that house. Yeah, but I got 12 of them. Oh, so you're making $3,000. Yeah, but then I'm gonna get 10 more, and then I'm building it, and now they got 50. They're making 10 grand a month on whatever they're doing.
Right.
I started seeing different parts of the business. I'm like, you know what? I need to get there. That's where I need to go. That's where I transitioned in my business. That's when I left C21, was when I was like, dude, I'm tired of the same RPA training. No disrespect to that office, because you have to do that because there's always a new guy coming. So it's just like, for me, like, we're already past that a little bit. So I was like, dude, I just need to get somewhere where I can feel like I need to stretch and reach for bigger, better goals. And that's where I transitioned out to the brokerage that I went to, and then I left there and I started my own shortly after that. So for me, that was my big transition when I left. It was tough, man, because I really liked that office.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you feel like your transition in the business has been?
My transition most recently, I don't know, it was an evolution, because I came in, didn't know anything, but because I was gravitating to all of the training, and some of the gifts and strengths that I have is the ability to actually teach. So I was given opportunities to teach and to educate other agents as I was learning. And so that was one piece. And then, as the brokerage grew, I was given an opportunity, an official position, to actually teach and coach, the agents that were there. And so that was one evolution of my transition, was into the teaching side of it. And then I was actually, not only that, I remember this now, I started actually teaching real estate licensing to get your license as well. So,
yeah.
We threw that in. And so here I am, like, filling up a lot of my time actually with preparing for this, because whenever I do something, I want to make sure it's done really well, like yourself and anyone else. So a lot of time and energy was put into,
I didn't like when you were doing that. Me personally, I didn't. But that's your journey, and maybe it served its purpose for you.
Dude, it was a learning experience. Looking back, everything happens for a reason. We learn through all the different chapters of life that we go through, and that was just one. And then from there, I finally was able to step out of that really within the last 2 years now. And within the last 2 years, getting my broker's license, I'm really focused on just real estate. And now I'm looking at, like, my business as a whole. I mean, I had an idea in the beginning of maybe what I want a business to look like, but tapped into actual coaching, decided, realized I couldn't do it all on my own. So, hired a coach, a couple of coaches actually. And now I'm able to see, the forest through the trees, so to speak, what a business should look like, how it should operate. And so that's where I am today. And it's still a lot of growth that's going to be taking place, but within the last year, I can say exponentially gone above and beyond anything that I've done, in the first, several years of my career.
I just remember you always telling me, Anthony, we're going to be top producers. We're going to be top producers. We're going to be top producers. And I was like, okay, if that's what you say, great, man. But I was just so used to just like, I got an escrow. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then, oh my gosh, I got another one. And at the end of the year, being, somewhat proud of what I did, but then still thinking like, this is not top producer level. But I'm like, but we're gonna be top producers. So for me, it's like, looking back at what you said too, is like, we didn't know what we were doing. We had to build this process, and it's sad, kind of like you would hope that there's a brokerage out there that would take a little bit more, but it's hard for bigger brokerages, but take a little bit more of time and energy to make, like, here, this is a template, follow this as best as you can, and we'll meet up in 3 months and see how you're doing. But this is your own business. They have 20, 30, 40 agents they got to navigate as well. So it's difficult, but that's part of our journey, that's part of our growth, and that's part of our transition, so it's like, that's just the way it goes.
And the challenge that I think a lot of brokerages face is we're independent contractors. And so when you hire an independent contractor, and we know that 80% of the agents that work are part-time, how much are you willing to invest in someone who isn't necessarily going to give you a return on that dollar?
Right.
You need to know, like, this guy's 100%. We're going all in on him because there's going to be a return, because there's overhead, of course, too. I heard a crazy number. What's today? Wednesday? So yesterday was Tuesday. I was at the gym, right? This is not even anything to deal with real estate, but this is going to be, you'll see where I'm going with this. I was talking to the manager in and out. And he said they will not hire anyone for like a summer job. He said they'll only hire someone they know is going to be there for like 2 years or more. And he says the reason behind that is they know their numbers. It's $20,000 to $23,000 for them to train someone.
Wow.
And I was like, wait a minute, like $20,000. He says it's $20,000 for us to get someone from start to where they're able to do what we need them to do. And so when you think about that in the in and out aspect, and that guy they're flipping burgers now. Nothing, nothing knocking them. That's a system in there that they need to put in. So, but they're one gear in a whole bunch of gears that are working. You're running the whole Timex. You've got all of the gears that you're supposed to be turning. So there's a lot that goes into training an agent. And, if a brokerage really knew what it costs, it's probably like, yeah, like, dude, you need to figure this out. And then we'll watch and see if you really are going to, then we'll pour into you. Because if not, like the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that you'll pour into someone and then maybe they'll not be there. And unfortunately, like, a lot of agents are looking for the greener grass,
Yeah.
So then like, they're like, oh, well, this guy will give me a better split. So I'm just going to bounce. And just like, yo, I just invested how many hours of time into you. And then you rolled out, took all my knowledge with you somewhere else.
There's no commitment in this game. I'm like, wait up, where did that one person go? Oh, they left to so-and-so because it's a $500 commission split. I'm like, oh my gosh. They're literally, we're here for 2 years, getting all kinds of training and going to events. But hey, that's just the way it goes too. And, I think at the end of the day, it's just because you're not getting a constant check. So it's like, it's difficult to be 120% in when you made 12 grand in 9 months. It's like, okay, this ain't working. I got to go somewhere else because they're promising A, B, and C, and that's what I want to hear. And I got to get a job at In-N-Out. So,
right.
So no, man, that's really tough. I know that when we were at the Century 21, you had some struggles that you hit, some bumps in your road, man. They really hurt you. They really put you back because you were doing some cool stuff out in Florida, and you were doing some other adventures, and then it's like, hey, what happened? And you're like, nah, dude, this happened, that happened. The deals over there are, you know what I mean? Like, how did you overcome those adversity? Those instances in your life where you're just like, dude, I just want to give up, or dude, I just want to, and maybe this isn't the right path for me.
So, good question. How did we overcome those adversities? First and foremost, a lot of prayer. Faith that we could make it through, and drive. Fortunately for myself, I'm self-motivated. So it's like, I can do this.
If you go to gym at 5, yeah, you're self-motivated.
I just got to work hard at it. I just need to work harder. And so like, if I can kind of go back to those things we had in Florida, great opportunities, some flips, the investor gives us the cash that we need. And unfortunately the business partners, things just did not work out.
Yeah.
And I look back on those numbers and I was like, you know what? Like, I literally almost went bankrupt. like I don't know how we like looking at the numbers is like, I don't know, God, how you pushed us through this, because we should have went out of business. Like realistically, we should have went out of business. Cause like, you invest so much into a project or something. And again, that project was in Florida. So I'm flying to Florida. I'm working on projects in Florida. Then I'm coming back here. And to be in real estate out here in California, you need to be here. You need to have conversations. And I looked at like how many deals that I lost trying to make that work. And then that didn't turn into anything but a loss. So it just was like, man, like if I hadn't done that, like I would be here. So now like I've taken a step back, and then, got into another opportunity with some other business partners and turned around, and they made poor decisions that in turn affected me in a negative way. And it was like, here we go again. Like, people are making poor decisions. It's affecting me. It's affecting my business. And, when I got into real estate, my wife, she's a dental hygienist by profession, but I'm the breadwinner, right? She decided that she was going to take another path and do some other things. So it was like, if I don't sell real estate, we don't eat.
Right.
And I remember selling my car to pay the bills. Like, we had 2 cars when I started, and I sold 1 car. I was like,
good for you, man.
I need money. And so like, this car is sold and we only need 1 because you don't need to go to work. She's not driving to work. So it's gone. So making those tough decisions, which for anyone that wants to be successful, there comes times when you have to say, I got to make a real tough decision. That's not comfortable. It's not easy, but it's what's going to get us to where we want to go. Not trying to like live as the Joneses today.
Right.
Realizing that like if I make these sacrifices now, you know, like Dave Ramsey says, you know, like live like no one else. Later you can live like no one else. That's what you got to do. So that's how we got through. We made tough sacrifices, a lot of prayer, and just every day. Consistency is undefeated is the quote that you'll hear. I just kept coming to work.
Yeah.
Just got to keep coming to work. It's going to happen. You just got to keep going.
100% correct, man. And on the flip side of that, because, you know, you're talking about a man who has a wife but does not have children, right? So now on the flip side, I'm a man with 2 children and no wife. And I had custody of both my kids. So for me, it's like, do I take the approach of I need to just get a babysitter for the kids and I need to, you know, work hard, grind, and then pick the kids up at 8 o'clock at night? Or do I say, no, God's going to he's going to have this figured out for me. I just need to show up to work, and then I need to show up for my kids. And then I need to show up for work, and I need to show up for the kids. And I need to just keep doing that. Just show up to work, show up for the kids. And looking back, that's the best thing I could have done, because there were moments, there were times where I was going to just, you know what, I can't do this. Because also you have to remember, my daughter was in gymnastics, so it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from like right after school till like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then I had to drop her off, and then go coach my son's team from 5 to 7 or 7 to 9. So basically Monday through Friday was pretty busy after about 2:30 p.m. So like, what kind of real estate job is that where you're working from 10 to 1? That was my work hours, you know.
Guys working part-time.
So it's like, for me, I just had to have faith that this was all going to work out. And, you know, you just work as hard as you can in those 3-4 hours, sometimes 5-hour blocks. And then you go be present with your kids. You take them to practice, you take them to their sports, you coach, you train, and then you do it all over again. So like for me, it was faith, it was hard work, and it was just there's no options. That this is all you have to do. Just do that over and over and over, and God will take care of the rest. You know what I mean? That was you know, my side of it. So your side of it was what you just said a second ago, and it's funny how everyone has their own different piece of the puzzle. And as long as you do what you got to do and show up every day, you should be fine, you know. And if it doesn't, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, showing up every day, and like you mentioned, you know, you've got a family, and so but you have work, and being able to understand that all of those are important, and not one necessarily more than the other, and creating a balance so that you can pour into each of those as it's needed. You know, your family so that they can grow and be all that they need and can be, but your business so that you can support, you know, that family and achieve the goals and things that you have as well. And one of the challenges in real estate is creating or finding that balance to where we're not pouring too much into one cup. And in real estate, sometimes we tend to pour too much into the real estate, the business cup, and then like the family cup or whatever other cup, faith cup, you know, it tends to get shorted.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I'm just glad that I feel like I haven't made it. I'm not, you know, I made it nowhere near, but I feel like I'm in a place where I can look back and go, man, I'm glad that portion of real estate business is over.
Yes.
And now we're coming into a new chapter, new era of our business. And we're looking back now and going, oh, yeah, I should have done that. It's the same thing with like the accounting for like property management. Sometimes I look back at some of the first management accounts that I had and how I didn't upload certain things. I'm like, ooh, I should have put, you know, this and that in there, but I didn't. But, you know, now how everything's just it's automated. Bill comes in, it gets scanned, it gets uploaded to the system. At the end of the year, print one document. It's the property owner statement, 1099. Everything is included. It's a packet. It's beautiful. And you look great. So it's like we're getting better and better and better. And for my business, it's like every day I'm learning still. And in the recent years, I've been learning a lot. I've picked up the loan business. I picked up the property management business. So those things have taken a lot of my attention as well in learning. And I love that. I love the learning part of it, where I can learn something new, even if it takes me 6 hours to figure it out with a tech on the phone or over the internet. But it's just knowing that stuff, having the knowledge of property management, loans, real estate. It's just fulfilling because, I could have done what a lot of people have done and, get a part-time job or do this. But instead, we just went all in with real estate. And, instead of doing all buy and sell, now we do loans, now we do property management. So we're growing, and the goal is to eventually be at a place where we can hire an actual full-time employee to run property management, taking loan applications, and then, we can have a couple agents on the team that can go show property, take listings and things of that nature. So, that's where my business is going. And, it's exciting to see the progress. I'm excited to see where I'm going to be at in 5 years, so like those are some of my goals. What about you? Like, what's the next 5 years for Adavid look like?
No, that's a great question. It's interesting because they say I don't know if the word is drastically, but we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And so knowing that, like I tend to, before I came over here, I was actually thinking in my head, like, what one of my things is, like, I tend to try to get everything done right now, and not realizing, like, you can take time and you can do this over the course of a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So for me, it's been a challenge to really have a vision of truly what I want to do and where I want to go. Something that my coach brought out this year was, she said, you need to find your Everest. Because once you find your Everest, like what you're climbing, and then you can create the steps to get there. And so it's been a journey for me, finding, like, what is my Everest? Like, what do I want to do? And I spent some time sitting down and kind of looking at my real estate business. Like, what do I want this to look like? Like, do I want to sell real estate? Do I want to be a managing broker? Like, what do I want to do? And I've come down to the point where, I definitely still want to continue to do real estate. I want to get actually into the development side. I'd love to produce housing. We live in a country where we have a shortage of housing, and I think it'll be really awesome to be some of these, like, working with some of these contractors. And, like, one of the things is first time I guess we call entry level homes, because there's so few entry level homes that are out there. We're tending to be, much of the construction that takes place is your second home, that step up home, not necessarily those entry level homes. So that would be something that I'd love to be able to do. That's more something in that 3 to 5 years or something further out there.
Okay.
In the next year or two, definitely want to, like you said, I want the business to grow in such a way where, first and foremost, like, I got a full-time employee, like admin type, who can manage all of that back-end office work that takes me away from where I really need to spend my time if I want to grow, which is the face-to-face, the voice-to-voice. Like, being there with my clients, breaking bread, having experiences with them. That's where I want to be. And I believe we can get that done. We can accomplish that within the next year, really have that in place by the end of next year. And then from there, grow the team. I'm not a fan of really working with buyers. It's not the area that I find I can best control my time. So I heavily favor the listing side. And about 60-70% of our business is on the listing side. So for me and for our business to continue to grow, we'll be able to bring in a buyer's agent, someone who that's their passion, and they really love going out and showing those homes and helping those families to find that home that's going to be there. So those would be some of the pieces that I would see is how I see our business growing in the next several years.
So one thing I've noticed over the years of having agents, like, on my team is that they're only happy when they're doing deals. And, that's one reason that I said, you know what, I'm done with trying to get these people deals, because that was my focus for a while, was call so many people that I get a buyer, I got another buyer, another listing. I'll take the listing, you take the buyers, and I'm tired of like doing that. Like, what I want is, I want to focus on just building my brokerage, just building my business, not helping people, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if anybody was to want to join my brokerage, they're not coming here for deals. They're not coming here to get fed. They're not coming here to get leads. You're coming here with your own deals. You can hang your license under my brokerage and let me do my thing and you do your thing. So like I've just kind of ended that thought of I'm going to build a real estate, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's pretty much for me.
And that, you bring up a good point, because it sounds like you're looking for someone who is self-motivated, looking to build and grow on their own. Mm-hmm. And when you have someone who's looking for you to feed them, that puts additional stress and strain on you. And it's not ideal. And again, when you're not able to feed them, then they're just going to go somewhere else where they can't feed. And then again, as we went back to earlier, like you're pouring into time, energy, money to get them up to speed on how they can actually be, self-sufficient and mm-hmm. produce in this industry. Like what are you really getting? So no, I get it. For me, that's been one of the challenges as I'm thinking about, being when I look in the future of a buyer's agent and like, okay, what is that going to look like? Because am I going to have to, again, be like holding their hand and making sure they have deals and making sure they're happy? Because if so, then I'm like you, of course, no, that's not going to work. Like I want you to be able to come to work and you should have some deals of your own. And yes, we're going to work together, but this is you. Like I want you to own your portion of this. And if you do, then at that point, I think it works.
Yeah. I've seen teams that are large that they have a huge budget for marketing. Like 70% of their income goes to marketing. Mm-hmm. They make $30,000 a month. 20,000 of that, 25,000 of that is taking care of all the leads that they buy, taking care of their buyers agents, their listing agents, and at the end of it, they're left with $5,000-$7,000 a month, and it's like, man, that's a lot of money going out. But at the end of the day, he's making $5,000-$7,000 just on that machine, and he's doing his own production on his side. Mm-hmm. So
and watching the numbers, because this is something that I was talking about again today. It's interesting that we're having this conversation today. Was like your numbers and your dollars and your ad spend, mm-hmm. because I was looking at my business this year, and we're here finished a third of the way through Q4, and it was like, okay, how much money have I spent in the different areas of marketing, and what's been the return? Because I believe, like when you say that someone spends, that much of their income on ad spend on marketing and trying to get more business, is there a better way? And I mm-hmm. believe that there is. And that's something that I'm actively looking at now, is what's the best way to get the greatest ROI on whatever that ad spend is. Mm-hmm. Because you can just pour money out, and if you're getting, if it's paying for itself, but not having like a true, like what I would consider like a true return, and are you looking at, small returns, 5-10%, or are you looking for something like 20-25%? Like, are those numbers realistic?
Right.
And if so, how can you achieve those? Because everybody and anybody in the real estate business, we get bombarded, but everyone's trying to sell us something because they know that we're out talking to people, right?
Yes.
So it's like, hey, like we can put your face on this, and we can put your name on this, and we can advertise you over here, and you could be at the movie theater, you could be at the gym, and you could be at the grocery store, like all in one. Like we got you, and it's just going to cost X, and it's just like, why am I doing that? Like, what's the purpose behind it, and what's going to be the real return on that? And these guys are sales guys, and so I think a lot of agents fall trap to these sales schemes that these guys have, and they just pouring out money. I mean, one of the agents I remember I was talking to, and they were working with one of these larger online brokerages type deals, and they were saying basically they were spending what they were getting mm-hmm. on the deal. So it's kind of like, so you didn't make anything on this, like, so was that really a good investment? And that's just the question I think someone has to ask themselves.
I know there's this agent out in like Ontario that their team is like number 1 or number 2 on Zillow. Mm-hmm. They have like 70 deals that close a year, 80 deals a year. But man, what I heard was that she barely can, pay her bills because it's just so much money coming in, so much money going out, so much money coming in. It's difficult to manage that. So it's like, why are we doing this? I don't understand. But, advocating for that person, it's like, okay, I can see this maybe. Maybe it's a struggle for 3, 4, 5 years, and then you're barely making it, and then you cut Zillow, and then now you have 300 clients, and you have a relationship, and then you can now service and nurture. So I see the benefit of it, but it's like, man, don't kill yourself trying to just be the top dog,
And we spend so much trying to, when I say we, talking about the whole industry, trying to get that client and get that closed transaction. Like the emphasis tends to be there. And, some of the coaching that I get says, that's the start of the transaction and the true portion of the transaction is actually the relationship that you build after closing. And if you would invest more in that relationship, you would have to spend less trying to get new business. One of the numbers was the average. So back in the day, the numbers were for the average home seller would sell every 4 to 5 years. Now that number they say is like 10 and a half.
Wow.
Right? So if you have in your phone 1,000 contacts, let's just say you have 1,000 contacts in your phone, right? Over the course of the next 10 years, all those are going to transact. So that's 1,000 transactions. So 10 years, divide that by 10. So that's 100 transactions that are going to take place within your sphere annually. So you already know those people. They're in your phone. They know you. So is it beneficial for you to spend money trying to get to know new people or investing in the relationships and the people that you already know, like, and trust?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think that's the Buffini model, right?
So Buffini talks about that. One of my other coaches as well talks about it. Jared James, he talks about it.
Okay. Jared James, that name sounds familiar.
He used to be one of like top producers across the nation. Jared James is he actually does real estate coaching now and some other things. Big name across the industry as far as coaching. I've known about him for the last, I'm gonna say 3-4 years, something like that.
So this is my struggle with that concept, and I believe in it, but it's like, man, do I have the desire, the want, the ability to go meet with 4 people a week? I do have the ability. I don't know if I can maintain that for 3, 4, 5 years. 20 people a month, I don't know. But I know there's people that they do other things. They send out cards. They send a cookie for the birthday. They send whatever it is that they do. So I just really am not good. That's not my strength.
And, we all have strengths. Absolutely. And, we have to play to our strengths. One of the things that resonates with me and works with me is, the fact that in this business, we're looking to build relationships. And, with relationships, like how well do you want to know someone? Because if you have 1,000 people in your phone, right? Like of those 1,000 people, it's kind of like your Facebook friends. Like you got 1,500 Facebook friends or 500 Facebook friends. You don't really have that many. Like you don't know those people. Let's be honest. Like they're maybe friended, but I don't really know them.
Yeah.
But pouring into those that give back, that you really like connect with. I was looking at my business, and this year and last year, I have basically one client that has given me the majority of my business those last 2 years.
Wow.
One client. And that client connected me through others, of course, is kind of how but it was one client. And I was like, wow. Like, so that's someone who advocates for me, that I work really well with. And so that's someone that I want to continue to pour into because that's what's growing and helping my business to thrive.
Right.
So finding those relationships and pouring into those, we can do all kinds of different things. Like I was talking to my coach and I was like, yeah, like I like to do crazy stuff, but like just trying to find crazy people to do crazy things with me. Like I want to go skydiving. And like my wife won't ever go skydiving with me. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But she was like, you should like as you get to know your clients, like, ask these questions and see what people like to do. Because if you had 2 or 3 clients and they're like, dude, I want to skydive. I've never been skydiving. Then you do it together, and then that builds that relationship that way.
Yeah.
as opposed to just some of like say for instance again like dropping off the cookie for the birthday. Like it's kind of it's cool, but it's kind of like.
Yeah.
Like, am I just like a box that you're checking?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I want it to mean more than just check the box. Exactly. You got your cookie.
One year I had a buddy that I met through baseball. Mm-hmm. He and I were not like best friends. We were just baseball parents. And then one day he calls one of my buddies. Hey, can you give me that guy Camou's number? Yeah, here's his number. Then he gives my number to this guy from work, and that guy from work says, hey, so-and-so said you're a real estate agent and that you do a good job, this, that, and the other. Want to buy a house. Great. Helped them buy one house. Mm-hmm. About a month later, hey, my sister, they want to move up here too now. Boom. Bought another house. Hey, my younger brother wants to buy it. Boom. I sold 3 houses because of one guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, that's what I need. Mm-hmm. But that was because we would see each other on the field all the time. Mm-hmm. And, dropping off a box of cookies is not going to be the same. And you're right. It's kind of the check the box like, oh, it's because he's a realtor or he's a professional. He's checking off the box. Mm-hmm. So I can see that, so it's like for me, I have a baseball community that I'm still a part of, softball. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I haven't gotten any deals from them like on a extravagant number, but I see these guys all the time. What do I need to do to get more transactions from the people that know me, trust me, and love me?
I read a book recently. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. Mm-mm. Phenomenal book, so I encourage you to grab it. Matter of fact, I'll just get you a copy. Phenomenal read because in the gentleman, Will Gadara, I think is the author's name. He and his partner ended up but they built up the number 1 restaurant in the world. It's in New York, called Madison Park. One of the ways that they built it was through unreasonable hospitality. Case in point, this is some of the crazy stuff that they were doing. All right. So couple comes in to the restaurant and it's their anniversary, and they sit down to eat. Now these are high end restaurants. These guys spend $1,000, $2,000, whatever, on dinner, whatever it is, 7 course or whatever it is. I don't go out places like that, but that's what I hear. Right. And so they're sitting at the table and they they're having a conversation with themselves like, oh, we forgot the champagne in the freezer. And so they ask the waiter, they're like, do you think that'll be a problem? And he's like, yeah, that's probably going to explode in your freezer. I guess. I don't know nothing about this. This is the story, right? They left it in the freezer. So they're like, oh my gosh. This is their anniversary dinner, right? So they're going to have to leave and go home and get this thing out of the freezer. So they're like, actually, where do you live? Okay, let's get your keys. So they take their keys. They go to their house. They take it out of the freezer. They take a box of chocolates, some caviar and whatever, put it in the refrigerator for them, and they come back. And so when they get home, it's out. They've got the caviar there, whatever that they put in the chocolates, whatever it is. And that's one of many, many stories that are in there of how listening for what's going on, like being attentive to your client and what their needs are, and then being able to deliver on a level that, because if I'm at a restaurant and I don't expect my server or my waiter, whatever the term is, to stop or for them to figure out my problem that I have at home for me to be able to stay and enjoy my meal. Right. And so in the real estate space, finding ways to be attentive but just being more attentive and listening when someone's speaking so we know how to serve whatever that need is that they have. Because when you touch somebody in such a way, they're like, oh, wow, like you were listening. Yeah. When someone realizes that you are listening and paying attention, it's like, that means you're important to them. And when someone knows that you're important to them, they're going to treat you a whole different kind of way. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And they're going to talk about you a whole different kind of way. Like Camou is like, you can hire a real estate agent, maybe there are some, but this guy, like he cares. Mm-hmm. He's going to not only get the job done, but he's going to listen to the finer details of things that you're missing. So like another one was, this didn't happen. Okay. So there's an agent and like all of his closings, he delivers a bottle of champagne. When it's all done, it's a bottle of champagne. But the lady that was purchasing, the reason why she purchased the home is she really loved this kind of like nook and the way the sun came in the morning and she did yoga. And she said, this is where I'm going to do yoga in the morning. And so the guys, this didn't happen, but the guy was telling the story. He says, what would have really just blew the top off, and I would have never used another agent, is if when we closed on that property, if we had went there and there had been a yoga mat laid out and said, I know that this is, whatever the words were, like, in the future, whatever, this is going to be your morning space, and you've got to, for your yoga, and there's a mat there, with like maybe like, I don't know, a yoga towel or whatever, like you're never going to forget that experience, because when you see the bottle of champagne, everybody gets a bottle of champagne. Mm-hmm. I'm checking a box.
Right.
Am I really that important? So for us as agents, just to be able to listen attentively and see what are they saying, what are their needs and wants, and how can I deliver in such a way that it'll just be like, this guy's amazing, and I'll never, ever talk to or work with anyone else besides this guy. And then at that point, now that database that you have, like those people, now they're ranting and raving about you, and we go back to this ad spend. I don't have to spend $40,000 a month trying to get people to like me.
Right.
I've already got people who are telling other people why we do such great work.
Yeah. I think that's the big key, and I think that's going to make the difference, right, between transactional and actually building a relationship that you actually care about, and somebody that you actually, listen to what they need and help achieve what they want. And, those little things, like you said, is the big thing, the little things. Mm-hmm. So it's like, come on, man, let's just get back to the basics. Let's just treat people like people and not like a check box that we got to do every three. I got to do 3 cookies today. Right. So I know that's good stuff, man, especially coming into the holidays. I've been thinking about, what am I going to do for Thanksgiving? What am I going to do for Christmas? It's like, what can I do? And, I've always had this desire of meeting with, 5 or 10 clients and having lunch or coffee. But it's like, what do we do? What do we do for Thanksgiving? What do we do for Christmas? I can't see all my past clients, but, maybe 20 or 30.
Good question. It's really challenging when you're trying to see, like, because we've served so many people. We look at our careers, and we've been in this business for going on, decade now, and went by fast, right? And it's like, well, how do I connect with these people? And so what I did last year was my first ever, like, they call it a reverse pie pop by. And so the idea is, like, some people host it in their office, and so your clients will stop by, pick up their pie, and you'll say hello. And I was like, I don't really like my office location. And I was like, I want to make this personal. So I was like, I'm going to invite them to my house.
Oh, nice.
So, and I was talking to my coach, and I was like, so who do I invite? And I was like, so typically the idea is you'll invite those who, you do the most business with, like your A+ clients. And he was like, invite your A, your A+, and some of your Bs. And I was like, you know what? I'm just inviting anyone I've ever done a transaction with. And I just put them all on the list. And it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done.
Good.
Last year, that party was phenomenal. The people that came are asking, like, when is your next party? And I was thinking to myself, I didn't ever want to do this again because of all the stress and everything that went into it. But it's something, there's some magic that happens when you're outside of your office and you're outside of that work space. When you're breaking bread with someone, when someone invites you into their home, you feel like family. Like, it just, because people don't invite you into their home. Like we work together, but like, dude, that's my family. And like, you don't come to my house. So when people come into your home, they're like, okay, like, we're connected now. Yeah. And
that's a good point.
So and I don't live on a mansion on the hill, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, we're going to make it work. Yeah. So we invited everyone over. Crazy story. We'll have to share that for another podcast of what happened at the party. But it was a really awesome time. Everyone really enjoyed it. And so now I'm having my second one we're 3 weeks out now. No, I guess we're 3-4 weeks out now. We're having our second one.
That's awesome, man.
And I did the same thing. I invited all the same people.
How'd you invite them?
People. So they get a formal invitation that goes out in the mail. Then I get a follow-up phone call. And then I'll actually send you a video message if you haven't responded, or even if you have responded. And then I try and actually pop by as many as I can just to say hello. I saw you got the invitation. If you didn't get the invitation, we still really want you to be there. And then the last one is to follow up with another either video or text message or phone call, whatever we end up choosing to do at that time. And we just bring them out. And typically we get about 25 to 30% of those that we invite that'll come out. And dude, it's really, really cool to just mingle with people. They're relaxed, you're relaxed.
So did you have it from like 5 to 7 type thing, or?
We did 5:30 to 8:30, and the idea is it's still like a reverse, like pop by. So you can pop in for like a minute and you can leave. Dude, like people like want to go places, and they didn't leave. Like people like, and I was like, so check this out. This is like we're getting ready for the party. We're a little bit behind. I'll share just this one piece, and I was like, we start at 5:30, and I was like, it's like 4:45, and I was like, I'm not gonna be ready. Like stuff's not gonna be ready, but whatever. You know what? People don't show up on time for parties. Like nobody wants to be the first one there. I got a text message from like one of my clients. He's a Marine. He's like, I'll be there in 15, and that was at like 5:15. I was like, he'll be right on time. Wow. Well, at 5:28, the doorbell rang. It wasn't even him. It was two other clients who were there early. I was just like, and when the doorbell rang, I tell you, it didn't stop ringing. They just kept coming and they kept coming and they kept coming. And like I was waiting for people to like come and like leave. I could think of one couple that came and left. Everyone else, they came and they stayed until 8:30. They're like you said the party was till 8:30, so we're staying until 8:30.
Did you have like dinner or something prepared?
We did have so we did like what was we call it a mashed potato bar. Okay. So there's like mashed potato, and then you put all these different fixings that you could put on there. My wife's family's Filipino, and so like my in-laws were like, we're gonna make lumpias, and apparently lumpia. I mean, I get them all the time. I guess
isn't that the little brown?
They're like little egg roll type things.
Oh, I love those,
dude. Everybody was like, I haven't had lumpias in forever. This is amazing. And I think
they have that special sauce too.
They have a special like a sweet and sour sauce, and then they have another other one. And so we had that set up, and then of course we had some drinks and some veggie trays and all that stuff. And people, they went through the food, they loved it, they had a great time. They're like, man, this is fantastic. We took pictures, as they're like, before you leave, we got to take a picture together. And then for everyone that came, we took a picture. I actually took that picture like an actual, because everything's digital now. Yeah. So I took those actual pictures and printed them off and then sent them the picture of us so they could keep it. Go. Like, hey, you can remember the time that we got to share together. That's
a good one. You know what I mean? Something like that where, yes, you can connect at your house, which is very unorthodox, but that's that next level connection. Now they feel like, we've been in your kitchen. We've been in your living room. That's the next level right there. That's something that I would highly consider, especially here because this is a home/office. So it's not like they don't come through the door already. We have people that come through the door weekly and, or monthly, and they've seen the place. But yeah, that's a good idea. You still do the garage, the community garage thing?
Every year I do a community yard sale.
Is that stressful?
Not anymore. Those are actually, we've done those since the beginning. Since we started, I started doing those. So those have become like really kind of cookie cutter. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know what my ad spend's going to be. Everything's there. It's just boom, boom, boom. Yeah. But what I did was it transitioned, and this is the way I was reaching out specifically to the community that I live in, is last year we hosted, because we would do 2 community yard sales. Oh, wow. One in the spring and one in the summer. Or rather, one in the spring, one in the fall. And I was like, I'm tired of doing like community yard sales. We want to do something else to connect. I was like, let's throw a community party.
Okay.
So I was like,
you are crazy.
I was like, let's like rent like a 20-foot water slide. Let's bring in a taco truck and have some cornhole, and then just tell the neighbors to come out. I was like, where am I going to do this? And I was like, right in the front of my house. Like, I live on the corner. It's not ideal. It doesn't even matter. Let's just do it. Yeah. So we brought the taco truck guy in. We had the water slide for the kids. And then my neighbor's like, well, that's a big water slide. As like everybody's starting to come over and hang out, whatever it is. And he's like, I got a small one at the house for the little kids. Can I bring it? I was like, dude, go grab it. So we bring in hoses, dragging them over the fence. We got the little water slide for the kids set up. And people are eating tacos, having a great time. And it just was like, it was a really awesome way for us to connect with the community. Like, you're literally like, you're breaking bread, you're shaking. And then like my kids got to go to the bathroom. Can we use your bathroom? Dude, just go inside the house. I don't care. It's right there, And so really able to build community doing stuff like that.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool because I don't do that either. That's not my strength.
I tell you, it is. Every one of those is stressful, and I'm always like, are people going to show up? Is this really going to happen? But I tell you, every time when it's over, it's like, that was totally worth it. I'm so glad I did it.
That's good, man. Maybe I have to like get uncomfortable and do something like that. I definitely want to do the like where the people come to my house and like do something. Maybe I'll just cook for them or something. Have them in my backyard and chit chat.
I would say this only because we cooked last year.
Don't do that.
It's less stressful for you, because I won't say not to do, but I'll say it's less stressful having food brought in.
Yeah.
Just because
Sounds
if anything
about
goes like wrong, like you're trying to like put it all together and people are showing up. Whereas if someone else is responsible for that one piece, like you can do what you're good at, which is engaging and, conversation and so forth, which is what you want to be doing and not trying to like, figure out the stuff behind the scenes.
So big question, man. What is up with all these new forms, these new contracts, this buyer's compensation and the seller to pay buyer's compensation? Has this created any struggle for you? What are your thoughts about it overall?
So I'm gonna keep it simple because I think everyone's really like made it too complicated. And basically, attorneys got involved, and attorneys make things complicated.
Right.
And for the buyers that are out there, 3 things are going to happen. It's going to be traditional as it's happened before. We're going to have to put in the contract what that compensation is going to be. And worst case scenario, seller's not going to cooperate and they're going to have to end up paying me. That's, if I can break it down as simply as possible for them. For me, it hasn't changed my business. And the reason why it hasn't changed my business, and I was shocked by this when I started seeing all these agents come out and say, I've got a buyer consultation. And I was like, why is that a new thing? Because I've had a buyer consultation for years. Because if someone was going to purchase a home, like, weren't we going to sit down and talk about how this happens?
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, it just opened my eyes and says, you think, because like sometimes you need kind of like, I don't know, for me, I'm just like, man, I'm not where I need to be. Like, I need to improve here. I need to improve there. I was just like, I guess I could pat myself on the back. Like, dude, you're a professional. And you're doing a good job of what you're doing because you have in place the tools to articulate value and understanding for your client that the majority of the industry doesn't have.
Right.
So for me, I've been very fortunate.
You know what? That's because you care about your business and the foundation, like you said earlier. You're not just going into this going, all right, what are we doing today? And there's a lot of people in the business that, they have a significant other, a husband or a wife at home that rely on them to pick up the kids from school, make lunch, make dinner, whatever it might be. And that's perfectly fine. But on their off time, they would rather do something that's not productive to the business. And in this business, especially in the beginning, you have to create so much that if you don't do that, you're going to be kind of winging it. So when people say, realtors, we don't need realtors. We don't need lackadaisy realtors, but we need professional realtors that actually have systems in place. They have understanding of forms, contracts, and the importance of consulting a buyer, the importance of consulting a seller. So, that's going to be the difference between people that are not that and the people that are that. So I think at the end of the day, with these new contracts, this is what I tell my clients. It's like, if you're selling your home, traditionally, you would pre-negotiate this up front. Now we can't. So just be prepared and conditioned to pay commission. That's it. What does that mean? They're going to come in with their offer. It's going to have some sort of compensation on it. And if they don't ask for 3%, 2.5%, high five, you made a little bit more money, but be prepared. Be prepared to pay 2.5%, 3% on the property, and it just all depends on the offer. So it's not that big of a deal. The buyers have always paid for their agent's commission. It's just was done a different way. So not until this becomes normal will we have a new norm. So we just have to wait 6 months, a year, and then we'll figure it out. But for right now, just be ready to pay commission, and we'll get through this, and you'll be happy in a month or two. So, for the most part, the clients have been very understanding. I've had a little bit of hiccups with the buyers because they're like, I can't pay that. And I understand that, but it's hard for them to understand, hey, we're going to put this figure on there. And if you can't afford the whole thing, then we have to adjust it on our side first, because if they don't pay me what you're supposed to pay me, what we have agreed to, then that's where we're going to have a hiccup or we need to make an adjustment. But other than that, just don't worry about it. Don't stress out about it. Let's worry about this way down the road. Let's just get into escrow. So, I think just breaking it back down and then reconfiguring the way it's supposed to be done now is the hardest part for the people to understand. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not that big of a difference.
Really, a lot hasn't changed, and there's just more paperwork at the end of the day. But something that you mentioned, going back to in regards to do I need an agent? And I heard this recently. The reason why someone or some people say, clients would say, like, or think that they don't need an agent is actually because they think it's so simple, is because they've actually worked with agents who did a really good job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because this process, we understand, it looks simple on the outside when you have a great agent, because it's like, I signed the contract, we opened escrow, and I don't know, like everything was smooth. Mm-hmm. They don't know that, you were fixing 100 problems throughout the process, and you were working with a totally incompetent, inexperienced agent that you had to do half of their work for them to get it all done. Because we don't disparage others in the industry, so we're not going to say this agent is terrible, like you won't believe what they did, like it made it. No, it's just going to be like, we had some hiccups, we worked through them, everything's going to be fine, we're just going to be closing about a week late.
And that's a really good agent. I remember a few of my transactions that were crumbling, and I had to, put in some words for my client without their permission, because I knew the end goal, I knew what they wanted. And I was pre-negotiating without permission, but I knew what they wanted. And I was fighting all sorts of battles on the sidelines. And my client doesn't know what's going on. And then 3 or 4 days later, hey, so-and-so, we're actually going to close a week late. But everything's on track. Mm-hmm. Oh, a week late? What happened? Oh, no, just a couple hiccups on their side, but we're good. Okay, great. Then we close. And then I can say, whew, that was a tough one. Right. What do you mean? It looked like everything went smooth. But, I've seen other agents that a little hiccup and they blow up and they call their agent, this isn't going well. And it's like, no, we're hired to take the stress out of it all. And we're hired to make this as smooth of a process as possible. And, that's what the good agents do. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a real quick story. This just happened. So a few years ago, I get a corporation for my business. I call my CPA. I'm like, hey, I need a corporation. He's like, okay, great. Send me $950. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to do it for you. I'm like, okay, send me $950. By the end of the day, he texts me, okay, it's all set up. It's all done. I'm like, that's it? Like, wow. So then you start thinking, maybe I should have went on LegalZoom. Maybe I should have, maybe I'm the dumb one. Maybe I overpaid. Maybe I, because everyone from the outside is telling you, oh, you don't need a CPA or an attorney or a legal advisor for this stuff. Just go on LegalZoom. And that's the same thing in our industry. Oh, just go to so-and-so.com and they can sell your house. Or just go to so-and-so, whatever, and they can do this for you. You don't need a buyer's agent. You don't need it's super easy. But then just recently, I went to LegalZoom because I was gonna try it myself, because I thought it was just too easy. In a couple hours he had it all completed. Mm-hmm. But then I get on LegalZoom and it says, "Have you completed the UA 1000?" I'm like, "What is a UA 1000?" Right. Google UA 1000. Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, well, step one is you got to go to the IRS, get an EIN number, then fill out this UA 1000, and then register with the Secretary of State, and then wait 2 days, and then this and that and that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is already harder than I thought. So I do all that. Mm-hmm. Goes to Secretary of State, they kick it back 2 days later. You're applying for the wrong thing. You don't need a UA 2000 for what you're trying to do. Do you have somebody that can help you? I'm like, no, I don't. Okay, well, what you need is this and that and that. It'll take 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, great. I can do this. Mm-hmm. I go back on LegalZoom. I try it again. Submit. Not happening. So then I go, wow, okay. Quit. Good thing it didn't cost me anything. But long story short, I call another CPA right here, down the street, local. And he tells me, oh, yeah, we can set it up today. Great, no problem. Okay, great. But while I was on the phone calls, in the middle of an email, my CPA calls me and goes, I go, hey, let me call you back. I get off the phone with this CPA, and then I talk to my CPA, and he goes, Anthony, don't do it right now. I'm like, I need it right now. Like, why haven't you called me for the past 2 days? I was upset with him. He's like, I was on a trip. But I was like, okay, no, I need it now. He's like, well, if you need it now, it's going to cost you an extra $1,500. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? He's like, if you do it now, you're going to have to redo it again January 1. So do you really need it right now? I was like, I can wait till January 1. All right. He's like, well, because you're going to do it right now, you have to pay for your franchise or whatever it might be. That's $750, and then to file your taxes is another $500. So you're at like $1,400. I was like, I'm not even going to make any money on this until next year. He's like, don't do it right now. And I go, okay. What do you recommend me do? email me December 20th and I'll get it prepared. And then just January 1, it'll be completed. And I go, how much you going to charge me? $950. I go, sounds good. No problem. Yes. And that's the thing, man. This guy didn't tell me it's going to cost me an extra $1,500, $1,800 to do it today because I'm going to have to do it again in a month and a half or 2 months. And it's like nothing against these guys, but why didn't he tell me that? My CPA is very, very good. I'm not saying they're not very, very good, but he should have told me that. So now in my eyes, my confidence went way up with my current CPA, and the confidence of the gentleman now down the street stayed right there. So there is a difference in professional. There is a difference in subpar. There is a difference in high level. There's, mediocre. So selecting a valuable real estate agent is definitely something I recommend.
Dude, it's such a game changer that unfortunately most people don't know until the close of the transaction. And it's like, wow, like I made a mistake. But at that point, it's too late. You lost. You thought you saved, 10 grand, because this agent was going to do it for 1% less.
Yep.
Well, you actually lost 25 grand or whatever because they weren't able to get you top dollar for the property, or they weren't able to negotiate, the repairs or something else that was going on the property that a really good agent would have been able to handle. And that's the decision that you made. And unfortunately, some people have to learn the hard way. And then they later on, they're like, oh yeah, maybe I should go the other way. It's interesting because even purchasing homes, people think it's so easy. It's easy to find a house. Finding a house is easy. You look online, a 2-year-old can find a house.
Yeah.
Right. But actually closing on a house is different from finding it online. There's a whole process that goes to from finding it online to getting keys delivered to you and it being yours.
And you know what? I've had experiences with agents where they submit an offer and it's like, we want all the termite Section 1 clearance. We want the most expensive home warranty in the world. We want you to pay now the buyer's commission 3%. We want this, we want that. And it's like, you have absolutely no shot at even opening escrow. Start with the termite. Why are you asking for Section 1 clearance on the report? It's like, that's the difference between a novice and a professional wouldn't do that. A professional would say, we're going to do an inspection. You don't even have to put that on the report.
Nope. After
you open escrow, then you say, hey, we're going to do our inspections, one of those being termite. Hey, there's $20,000 worth of termite, $3,000 worth of termite. It's got to be tinted. Well, that wasn't in the contract. It doesn't have to be. We have a period to do that. It cost us $89, and now we're getting $15,000, $5,000, termite work. Because now you can't sell this house unless you tell the next buyer, hey, there's termite damage here too. Oh yeah, well, that's got to get fixed too. So it's like it's a tool. And if you're an agent that's requesting termite on your purchase agreements, knock it off. Knock it off.
That's immediately going to be countered out.
Absolutely.
Maybe not even get a response.
Mine not. It's going to be a week before you get a response.
Why didn't you guys accept our offer? Just go back and review it, and then.
If honestly, if you're sending offers like that, it just tells me you don't know what you're doing, and we're going to have a rough escrow.
It's interesting, because just speaking specifically to that one piece of a contract is, as soon as you put anything on a contract, anyone that knows, you work in the lending space as well. Now we have to disclose these things to a lender.
Yeah.
But if it's not on the contract, hey, lender didn't see that. They don't know. So we can protect our buyers, with things like that by not putting it in the contract, understanding it's $89, $100. We're going to get this. We're going to get this report, and then from there we can make a decision. Because what's the most important is getting your offer accepted. Once your offer is accepted, you as the buyer are in control.
Yep.
The seller can't cancel unless you don't perform.
Yep. That's the beautiful thing, man. I can go on and on and on about agents that screwed things up, or properties that I've been a part of, and it's like we took advantage of a mediocre listing agent because we just knew we could. So, having a good agent in your corner is going to be definitely beneficial to you, and they're worth every single penny. And you won't know until the deal's done that you screwed up. And most of the time, these clients, they don't lose $1,000, $2,000. It's not a big deal. It's like, why didn't we get X, Y, and Z? Well, should have used me. You would have got that and some.
And some.
Yeah. What about with your business, the tech? What are you doing for tech side to, I don't know if you do mass emails, mass text messaging, or automatic voicemails. Like, what are you doing on your side to generate business?
So again, we keep it very, very relational. So I've never done any mass texts, emails, or anything like that. I send out a monthly email, but all those are people that I've worked with in the past. So you get our monthly email. We get a monthly, we call it an item of value, and it's something that can pertain to real estate to a degree. So it could be like just letting you know that you should put your home in a trust to protect your investment. That'll go out every single month, a physical piece of mail that goes out to clients that we've worked with in the past. Those go out. Apart from that, it's going to be, making phone calls, stopping by, saying hello. Recently, and this is very recent, we're actually in the process of kind of implementing all of it. And that is, on the social media side with technology. Now, social media, there's so many platforms. You've got YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and LinkedIn, and the list just continues to grow.
Right.
How do you touch all of that? How do you touch all that space without pouring in a ton of time? Because unfortunately, those things are wormholes. Like, you open it and you could be lost for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Just scrolling away. So, we have a platform now, Back at You Media, that's provided through our coaching company, Buffini and Company, where we're able to calendar out our entire month, put together all of our content, and then all of those platforms it goes out. And so we don't have to really dive in and be right there in it and get kind of lost, because like in the past, it was like, okay, so we're going to post on Instagram. So we're going to post on Instagram, and then we're going to post on Facebook. So then we're going to post, and you got to copy and paste and move everything over. And it's just like, that's not ideal for a business. Like, you can't hand that off to someone else. Whereas this right here is like, do you know the platform? Okay, this is the calendar. This is how we want things to do. And so you go from there. So that's one of the things that we're implementing now, because it's important, coming from a relational coaching. It was always like us face to face, voice to voice. But if you're looking to grow your business, I do believe you need to have a presence on social media so that people can advocate for you. Like, this is my agent. Like, this is the kind of cool stuff that he's doing. This is the things that he's sharing, and they can share that with their sphere. So we have to be on that platform. But how do we navigate a platform like that? Is again, what we use now is Back at You Media, and so that's going to be something that literally, like, this was released. What is this, October? So September, we're actually leadership conference, and they released it. And so we just had some initial trainings on it. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Apart from that, on the tech side, I don't really dive too much into it.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. I think everybody's business has, their strong points and their focus on how they attract their clients. For us, we're doing the same things. It's just calling, the people that know us, like us, trust us. We call people that don't know us. We email blast. We are trying to get back in text message blasting, but that's become very, very difficult with all the laws. So, we've been having some struggles with that. But other than that, man, I think we still have clients calling us and say, "Hey, you still selling homes?" Yes, we are. Okay, great. My son needs to buy a house now. So it's like a lot of that stuff still coming around. So that's good. But we need to get to a point where they know we're still selling homes. Not, "Are you still in the business?" That's kind of like a slap in the face. I'm not doing my job. So, those are things that they sting, because I'm like, I need to do a better job at what I'm doing. But it's so difficult because, you have life, you have your business, you have other things that, I don't want to say distract you, but take your time away from everything. So it's like we have to really prioritize our time in our business, just like we do in anything else. So.
No, and it's important to be on those platforms. And, with what you're doing, everybody's got, that space that's going to work for them. And for anyone that's out there that's, starting in real estate or even been in real estate for a long time, find the space that works for you, because what works for one agent is not necessarily going to be the model that's going to work for your business. So,
right.
And I think that sometimes we can get kind of caught up in like, well, they're doing this, so I should be doing this. And it's like, you should be doing what works for you and what you can be consistent at. Because if it's social media and it's like, well, they're posting every day, I only post on Mondays. That's all that matters. Like, you're posting consistently. You don't have to be every single day, three times a day. Like, just do what you do it consistently, and you'll be fine. If it's email blast or if it's text blast or whatever it is, do what you do it consistently, and it'll all come together. So
before we end today, I wanted to ask you, and you kind of touched on it already, but you only touched on like 3-year goals, 5-year goals. How old are you right now?
43.
43.
Yeah.
Where exactly do you want to be at and you don't have to be perfect, but an idea of where you want to be at with your business at 60. What have you?
You know, every time we get together, you ask me these questions.
Yeah.
I want to see
important, man.
like down the road, like what do you see yourself?
Yeah.
And at 60, I feel like I still be young at 60 because I feel like I'm like a 23 and not 43. So
Yeah.
at 60, I'll be like 40. I feel like I'm 40, right? I'll still be dunking on you. No.
Yeah. Speaking of, we got to go hoop again.
We do got to get out.
I'm a little bit better than the last time we played.
I'm worse. So here we go.
Didn't you like pull your hammy or something?
I haven't played since we played last.
You were hurt,
Dude, I haven't played since we played last.
everybody from the Murrieta office, Chris, I took him there once. He was on the ground huffing and puffing in 5 minutes. And then remember Juan Carlos? I took him once, and he was a cardio freak, and I took him. He was on the ground huffing and puffing. And it's like something about basketball.
Basketball is it's a tough sport because it's basically like, what do they call it, the high intensity interval training.
Yeah,
that's what it is. But
It
it's
is.
like high intensity interval training is typically you go for like a 10-minute cycle, right?
Yeah.
This is like an hour cycle or a 2-hour cycle. Like, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, but getting back to your question, you know, at 60, I would definitely see myself, as I kind of mentioned, on the development side. I don't see myself selling real estate at 60. That would be
I
something.
don't want to do that either, man.
I definitely
I'm
believe,
gonna go show a house today.
No, at
Get my
that
cane.
point, I would like to think that I would have built a good enough business where I could have put educated, trained people in place to be able to facilitate that part of it, and that it's just operating on its own. And I could do the things that, which again I'm passionate about. You know, I came from a construction background, is again development, and really, and then that could be, dude, building high-rise condos or whatever the case may be. Like but in the development space is where I would like to be when I'm in at 60. And the real estate side, the sales side of real estate, we should say, the sales side of real estate, having that all put together with a team that's running it, and something that if I wanted to, I could even like sell it. You know, it'd be at that point.
Yeah, you definitely need an employee for that. You need somebody that like is willing to do it all. And man, it's tough because you don't want to say somebody that, you know, doesn't have dreams to become something crazy, but somebody that's going to be happy working for you, and that's it. You know, and that's going to be difficult to find. But I think you can find people like that, even if it's just for 2 years at a time, 3 years at a time, because you definitely need somebody that's going to be, I think they need to be somebody that's, you know, task oriented, admin kind of background that can handle a lot of different things. You're going to have to pay them $75,000 a year. But, you know, hopefully the business is making $1 million a year or more, and it's not a big deal. You can have 2 or 3 of them, and then you'll definitely have a business that can operate on its own with your supervision. But 60 development, yeah, that's something I think you'll definitely be there, and you'll have a successful, thriving business. Right now I'm 30, gonna be 38 next month.
There he goes. He's almost a grown man.
Almost, man. A couple more hairs on my chin. So 38, 48, 58. So 22 years, I'll be 60. Right?
That's a long time.
That's a very long time. And I've thought about this. I'm like, what do I really want to be doing when I'm 60? I definitely don't even want to be supervising a business. I want to be out of the business. But my thing is I have to be sure that I'm creating a real business, not something that depends on me all the time. So at the 5-year mark from now till, you know, what is that, 43 years old, I have to have an employee, you know, a full-time employee that's getting paid 60, 70 grand a year. It sounds scary, but if you do the right things, you should be, you know, able to make that happen.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my next big goal is to get an employee that, it's great to have additional help. And if the additional help's there and it's, you know, low cost or free, then I'll take that too. But I actually need somebody that can say, no, this is your fault. Like, we got to fix this, we got to fix that, we got to fix that. This is a real business and you're going to get a real check. So that's what has to be done in the next 5 years for this to be something that can actually occur in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
And jumping back into what you were saying is, and I think we may share a similar mindset, is, you know, in regards to like someone who they're going to be okay with that. And I think because you and I are, entrepreneurs and we're looking to grow and to build, I think maybe subconsciously we think that that's how other people are thinking.
Right.
And there's so many people that are literally looking like where can I go to work 9 to 5 and I get a paycheck?
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
Yep.
I'll be here every day.
Yep.
And I'm not going anywhere because I'm hoping that I never have to look for another job.
Yeah.
Right. And so we just have to find those people because they're out there. Right. And I can think of like people right now who I'm like, if I could just get the business where it could be, I could call those people and be like, would you be interested in? And I'm pretty sure the answer would be yes. And it would like take the business to another level.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting the business to a point where, you can take that step.
Yeah. That's a big step because it's like our business might be hovering at a certain dollar amount. We're making good money, but if you bring in somebody, that's going to take a big chunk of it out. And, we're always afraid of, can we sustain this? Not for 3 months, but for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years and moving on. So definitely a lot of big calls to make. But if you look at some of the big teams, big teams, they have like realtors that are getting cuts off of all the deals. So that's what sustains them. And they're commission based as well. So they're not salary plus commission. So that's something to think of too. Maybe we can bring in an agent that gets a cut off of the transaction. So it's basically commission, based. So that's one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of the big teams that are doing big things, they have 1 or 2 people that are like the high level admins, but they're also realtors showing houses, closing transactions, and getting deals cut from everybody else's. So the new guy still gets 40%, everyone else gets the 60, and then 5 goes here, 5 goes there, and the big guy gets 5-10% after everything gets paid. So those are some things that we can still think about instead of just payroll $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year.
Yeah, because that's a big pill to swallow, so to speak. It's like, man, that's a chunk. Like, am I going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think looking at it as the investment that it is, and that's something that I've kind of like still kind of struggling with, I guess, a little bit. Is like this is an expense, and reversing my mentality on that, my thinking, and saying this is an investment because I'm going to buy back X amount of hours. And so and this is where it gets really tricky. My coaches do a really good job of helping me see what is my value per hour based on tasks.
Right.
And when you can see your value per hour based on, and so if an admin task is worth $20 an hour, right? But when you're talking to clients, that's worth X number, $200 an hour, whatever. So like, where is your time best spent? So if I'm able to spend X number of more hours doing what makes me $200 an hour versus this $20 an hour, this investment is actually going to be small because the business is going to grow by whatever percentage.
I've thought like that. Then I go, yeah, that's right. I shouldn't take the trash out. Man, I'm not cutting the grass no more because that's $10 an hour job. And I'm not going to the grocery store no more. And then I realized that I got to go to the grocery store still. But, no, a lot of good points, man. But, at some point we have to delegate. We got to give tasks away, hire, because you're right. Like, it'd be more worth our time to go drive 30 miles to go visit a client that's, a high level client of ours than, do some admin task or whatever it is that's, a job that we can pay somebody $20, right. Help somebody get some money, alleviate us from that, and, serve our business better. So these are the talks we used to have back in the days.
We used to have these all the time until, you
then
became
off,
big
man.
broker, and you started your own Camou Associates over here.
No, you left. Remember, you left us.
No, sir.
You're like, wait, I did that?
Wait a minute.
Remember we were racing to the broker? Who's going to be the broker first?
Yes, and you beat me.
I don't know why you pumped the brakes. You did something.
No, I got distracted.
Yeah,
with everything else, I got distracted. And then, I remember looking up on, social media or something. You were like, I'm preparing for this test. And I was like, he's preparing for the test. I haven't even finished the second book. I was like, I got to get on. Which was, I don't know, it was awesome. Because I saw that post, that got me back on. And I was able to pass. I was able to go and get everything done before the deadline when they changed all the rules and everything, because I had totally forgot. And so yeah,
I remember that, dude, and I'm happy that we both got it. Mm-hmm. I don't think I know anybody else that was part of our group or that got their brokers. Not that it's like something to just jump for joy, but it's a good accomplishment for sure. Mm-hmm. And it feels a lot better when they say, "What are you?" I'm like, "Real estate broker." They're like, "Oh, broker."
It's a game changer.
It is actually. I'm like, whoa. First time somebody responded to that, I was like, whoa.
Before
I feel important now.
It's like I'm a realtor. Like, oh yeah, there's like a million of those. But like when you're, oh wait a minute, like you're different.
Yeah. No, for real. It was the first time I told somebody that, and they go, "Oh, you're a broker?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm kind of cool now."
All right.
No, man, it's all part of the journey. We always talked about it. Mm-hmm. I'm happy that we're both there, but we got to keep striving, keep digging, keep going, and we'll be there. We'll be having a podcast in the future, and we'll be like, "Remember that talk? We're there now."
100%.
So, I mean, like I said, this is the talks we used to have, man. So it's good to have you on the podcast, get an update on you, on your business, on your life, and you got a little update on me. But we definitely got to do this again.
I'm really appreciative of the opportunity, Anthony. So thanks for having me out, man. This has been really cool, like really cool.
I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. I wasn't 100% sure you're going to make it today because I texted you and was like, yeah, we're this, we're that, cool. Are these the topics? Ghost. And then at 5:59, ding, ding. I'm like, I knew he was going to be here. But I wasn't sure, but I knew.
Right on.
No, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you guys for tuning in Camou and Associates Studios. We'll have you back on eventually. I don't want to take up your broker time because that's like $500,000 an hour. So I'm paying for this guy to be here, by the way. But no, man, do you want to show any love to anybody, or you got an you want them to look you up at for your Instagram?
You can find me, shameless plugs over here for sure, but at Team Broden on everything, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're all there. And appreciate my wife, Josie, and she's the one that really is behind me doing so much work to make us successful. So shout outs to her. And shout outs to you again. Appreciate you having us on and for the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and we're done.